My boyfriend and I have been together for about 2 years. I moved to the United States, where he has lived his whole life, when I was 17 on my own, and we met in college. All my family is still back home. I'd say I'm fairly religious. I grew up going to the church of my country, which is Evangelical Lutheran. While I just did it first because it was what the rest of my family did, I found myself enjoying it a lot when I got older. I had my confirmation, and I just like it a lot. I'm not the type to push it onto other people. I just love it, and I feel that faith brings a lot of positive benefits into my life. I especially like my specific church because anyone who wants to can come, and a lot of it has a community aspect, and it brings people together through God. And I get to meet lots of people, and I like that a lot. However, I'm not so sure the church my boyfriend is part of is like that. His family follows Mormonism, and I'm not sure if it's normal for Mormons, but they seem very intense. I don't necessarily see a problem with that generally, but it definitely bothers me when they choose to be quite judgmental. They think the line of work in which my father works is ungodly, which is quite hypocritical. Some of my friends back home are homosexuals, and my boyfriend is also a bit weird about them. I absolutely adore all of them, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. But my boyfriend seems to think it's really bad and says I shouldn't be near those kinds of people, and that I drink alcohol back home, which is really normal, but his church doesn't allow it. Although he isn't old enough yet. But where I'm from, it's not a big deal, and I'm not irresponsible. I don't drink excessively when I'm visiting home. He tells me I shouldn't be at all. And the obsession with virginity that seems to be within his church definitely makes me uncomfortable. And that is a really big thing that bothers me. While technically I am, so it probably shouldn't bother me. But the concept seems so sexist. If I were to have intimacy before I was married, I don't think it would taint me. I don't think it would define my worth. I personally don't believe it is a large sin, as long as I respect myself and my body. Not to mention it seems to have resulted in a complete lack of knowledge about female bodies. We had a small argument a couple of months ago because he thought I was lying about being a virgin because I use tampons. But I play football, soccer in the United States, so I literally have to. The last thing I want to do is bleed on my shorts in front of people, and it's just more comfortable. And he's got 5 sisters. You'd think he would have at least picked up on it a little bit. He's also telling me I should lighten my hair, which is very annoying. Nearly his whole family is blonde. It seems to be a beauty standard. But I'm fairly sure most of the girls dye their hair. My hair is actually quite light. It was very light when I was younger. My roots have darkened slightly, but I'm still blonde. It's not like my hair has gone brown. But he thinks I should dye my roots and that I'd fit in more. But my hair is not very thick, so there's no way I want to mess with it by doing that. All of this was sort of leading up to what he said to me recently, I think. We had gone out to dinner, and then he told me he wanted me to convert to Mormonism. I was just a bit shocked by it. I asked him why, and he said that he's been praying about it, and he can now see that he thinks it would be right for me to. So then I can be accepted by God, and we can be together. I just said I'd need to think about it. I'm very confused. I don't think I want this, but if it would make his family better to me, then it might be a good thing. I really don't know, and I feel like I'm overthinking a lot. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He doesn't seem to be respectful of you or interested in why you live your life the way you do. Do you want to be in a relationship with somebody like that? I personally wouldn't. If you need more information on the Mormon Church, maybe post there and or read about why other people left the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. My personal opinion, interfaith relationships can work, but respect and interest in the partner are key. Also, as an ex-Mormon myself, he likely won't change, and both he and his family sound awful. Comment 2. Run. Every single thing you have written is about him and his family controlling and limiting your choices. If you think this is extreme now, imagine what it would be like if you married this man and made it official. They would behave as if they owned you and try to prohibit you from having the freedom of choice. Mormons are extreme, and what you are seeing is the tip of the iceberg. Now for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post. After my boyfriend asked me to convert to Mormonism, I spent a few days in deep thought. I didn't want to make any rash decisions, so I decided to talk to my family back home. They were supportive, but also concerned. My mom reminded me that faith is a personal journey and not something to be changed lightly. My dad was more direct, saying that if my boyfriend truly loved me, he would accept me for who I am. Their words gave me a lot to think about, but I still felt torn. A few days later, my boyfriend and I had another conversation about it. I told him that I needed more time to decide and that converting was a huge step for me. He seemed understanding at first, but then he started to get frustrated. He said that his family was already asking questions about my faith and that it was causing tension. This made me feel even more pressured, and I started to feel like I was being cornered into making a decision I wasn't ready for. Around this time, I noticed that my boyfriend was becoming more distant. He stopped inviting me to family gatherings and even started avoiding my calls. I tried to talk to him about it, but he always had an excuse. It felt like he was punishing me for not immediately agreeing to convert. This hurt a lot because I thought we had a strong relationship, but now it felt like it was falling apart. One evening, I decided to attend a service at my own church to clear my mind. It was comforting to be in a familiar environment, surrounded by people who shared my beliefs. After the service, I spoke with my pastor about my situation. He advised me to stay true to myself and not to compromise my beliefs for anyone else. His words resonated with me, and I felt a sense of clarity that I hadn't felt in weeks. When I got home, I found a letter from my boyfriend on the kitchen table. In it, he explained that he couldn't see a future with me unless I converted to Mormonism. He said that his faith was too important to him and that he needed a partner who shared his beliefs. Reading those words felt like a punch to the gut. I realized that he was giving me an ultimatum, and it broke my heart. I decided to call him and have one last conversation. I told him that I loved him, but that I couldn't change who I was. I explained that my faith was just as important to me as his was to him. He listened quietly, and then said that he understood, but that he couldn't continue our relationship. We both cried, and it was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had. We decided to break up, and I felt a mix of sadness and relief. The fallout from our breakup was immediate. His family, who had never fully accepted me, started to spread negative things about me within their community. They said that I was leading him astray and that I was a bad influence. This hurt a lot because I had always tried to be respectful of their beliefs, even if I didn't agree with them. My boyfriend's friends also started to distance themselves from me, and I felt increasingly isolated. I tried to focus on my studies and my friends, but it was hard. I missed my boyfriend, and I missed the life we had planned together. I started to question if I had made the right decision. Maybe I should have just converted to make things easier. But deep down, I knew that I couldn't live a lie. I had to stay true to myself, even if it meant losing someone I loved. During this time, I also started to reflect on my own beliefs and what they meant to me. I realized that my faith had always been a source of strength and comfort. It had helped me through difficult times, and it was a part of who I was. I couldn't just give that up for someone else. This realization gave me a sense of peace, even though I was still hurting from the breakup. I also started to think about my boyfriend's behavior and how it had changed over the past few months. I remembered how he had become more controlling and how he had tried to change me. I realized that this wasn't healthy and that I deserved someone who loved me for who I was. This was a painful realization, but it was also empowering. I knew that I had made the right decision, even if it was a difficult one. As I started to move on, I reconnected with my friends back home. They were supportive and reminded me of who I was. I also started to get more involved in my church and found comfort in my faith. It was a slow process, but I began to heal. Looking back, I can see that our relationship was doomed from the start. We had fundamental differences that we couldn't overcome. It was a harsh lesson, but it taught me a lot about myself and what I want in a partner. I know that I need someone who shares my values and respects my beliefs. And while it was a painful experience, it also made me stronger. Thank you for reading. Am I the idiot for letting my chronically unhappy wife go after she admitted to having feelings for someone else? For context, we have been together for almost 9 years. She is the first serious relationship I've ever had. We are yin and yang. I say a lot that we complement each other, as I'm more on the introvert side and she's the opposite. I'm pretty chill and calm, and she's super emotional and volatile. And like every relationship, we have had our ups and downs. The big roller coaster started during the pandemic. Before that, we were not in our best moment. She had just finished an internship and got a job in a nearby city, which I totally supported. Also based on the thought that a little distance between us would improve our relationship. The pandemic hit and she came back home during the lockdowns. During that time, she got diagnosed with a very serious disease, and I really thought that she could die. I supported her during the treatment and made the first big mistake. I proposed to her, even though I couldn't afford a super nice ring or the wedding itself at the moment. We were using all our money to cover the things that the health insurance wouldn't, but I thought, there is a possibility that she passes away, and I didn't propose to her. And I'm positive that I want to marry her. The proposal was very simple with a not too fancy diamond ring. And when I proposed, she started crying and told me to stay away. She had dreamt of being proposed to with all bells and whistles, and I didn't. All this during the Infection 19 pandemic. She says that everything went downhill starting there. But I don't feel it has been downhill, but a roller coaster. I mean, we ended up getting married in a beautiful place. And during her vows, she told me that everything was meant to be with me, even her disease and the proposal. And we had a super cool honeymoon trip. Needless to say, she didn't die, but she didn't stop complaining either. And sometimes she would cry if she would see another proposal or wedding. The same thing has happened with her birthdays since around 2018. No matter what I gift her or what I do for her, it's badly received. Last year, around her birthday, she wanted to go to a concert in a nearby city. So I bought the tickets and reserved the hotel. I didn't have a lot of money, so when it was time to give her a birthday gift, I was kind of short, mainly because I had bought concert tickets and reserved a hotel for a weekend. We had a big fight there, like really big. Then we talked about it a couple of days and fixed everything. Fast forward to today. It was her birthday, and she was in I know you're gonna screw up mode, as we just moved to a new, better place less than 1 month ago, and it was very likely that I would not do everything right. And I didn't do everything right. I didn't order her cake with a week in advance, and she ended up beating me to ordering it. I didn't decorate our home for her birthday, and even though she told me some random day that she wanted a specific brand of clothing, she didn't tell me that it was pants, and I got her a shirt, so, according to her, I screwed it up as always. And for the first time, I'm not mad at her. The realization of that has hit me hard. I really don't give a F. I did tons to make her day super special, and that's what's valuable to me. I don't need her confirmation anymore, and I'm realizing that as I write. The thing is, where does it go from here? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You both are not communicating effectively. Nothing is getting resolved, so you both hold resentments for different reasons. But yours now have turned to contempt, which is a marriage unalived. If you do want to work on your marriage, look into John Gottman's work on communication and marriage. However, her expectations are unrealistic and childlike, meaning emotionally immature. It is totally understandable how you got to this point, and if she is unwilling to see how her behavior is soul-killing, then I'm not sure there is any reason to stick around. Comment 2. She sounds immature, needy, yet rude, demanding, and impossible to please. You sound tired, frustrated, and sad. This relationship sounds absolutely miserable. Imagine, if you will, OP, a world where your every action isn't criticized. Where when you do something nice, it's appreciated. Where there aren't secret tests and traps designed for you to fail. That world is out there, but you'll never find it with your current wife. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me through all this. So, after her birthday fiasco, things took a turn I didn't quite expect. The day after her birthday, she came home from work and handed me a letter. It was from her doctor. She had been keeping it from me for a while, but she finally decided to share it. The letter said that her disease had come back, and she needed to start treatment again immediately. I was shocked and didn't know what to say. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, I didn't want to ruin your day yesterday, but I can't keep this from you anymore. We spent the next few hours talking about what this meant for us. She was scared, and I was too, but I tried to stay strong for her. We decided to take it one day at a time, and focus on getting her better. The next day, we went to the hospital to start her treatment. It was like deja vu, but this time, it felt different. There was a heaviness in the air that wasn't there before. While she was getting her treatment, I had a lot of time to think. I realized that I had been so focused on trying to make her happy that I had lost sight of what really mattered. I had been trying to fix things with material gifts and grand gestures, but what she really needed was my support and understanding. I decided to make a change. I started spending more time with her, talking to her, and just being there for her. It wasn't easy, but I could see that it was making a difference. A few days later, something unexpected happened. She came home from a treatment session and told me that she had met someone at the hospital. It was a woman who was going through the same thing she was. They had started talking and had become fast friends. She invited her over for dinner, and I agreed. When she came over, I could see why they had hit it off. She was funny, kind, and had a positive outlook on life, despite everything she was going through. As the weeks went by, the three of us started spending more time together. It was nice to see my wife smiling and laughing again. But there was something else I noticed. She seemed to be happier when she was with her new friend than when she was with me. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I couldn't ignore it. One night after her friend had left, I brought it up. I told her that I had noticed how happy she was when she was with her friend and asked her if there was something she needed to tell me. She looked at me with a mix of sadness and guilt and said, "I don't know how to say this, but I think I have feelings for her." I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. She continued, "I love you, but I can't ignore what I'm feeling. I don't know what to do." We sat in silence for a while, and then I told her that we needed to figure this out together. We decided to take some time apart to think things through. During that time, I did a lot of soul searching. I realized that I had been holding on to the idea of our relationship rather than the reality of it. We had been through so much together, but we had also grown apart in many ways. I loved her, but I wanted her to be happy, even if that meant letting her go. When we finally sat down to talk, I told her how I felt. I told her that I loved her and wanted her to be happy, but I couldn't ignore the fact that she had feelings for someone else. She started crying and said that she didn't want to hurt me, but she couldn't ignore her feelings either. We decided to separate and see where things went from there. It's been a few weeks since we made that decision, and it's been tough. I miss her, but I know that this is the right thing for both of us. She's been spending more time with her friend, and I can see that she's happier. I've been focusing on myself and trying to figure out what I want out of life. It's been a bittersweet journey, but I'm hopeful for the future. Looking back, I can see that our relationship was, well, interesting, but it was also a learning experience. I've learned a lot about myself and what I want out of life. I've also learned that sometimes the best thing you can do for someone you love is to let them go. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Thanks for reading. Am I the idiot for telling my girlfriend to choose between me and her poly-swinger friends? My girlfriend and I are going on our 3rd anniversary. We live together and are preparing to start a joint business venture and move. We work in the entertainment industry where there is a very diverse cast of individuals with different lifestyles. Working on our 3rd show production together, she has a larger directorial role within the show, and a member of this cast is working on a show with us for the 2nd time. He is involved in local projects often and has had some past success, so he has a lot of interesting things to talk about. He usually hosts cast parties for us, which are great and full of fun. He has a wife and kids, but is part of a large poly group that are all known swingers, guys and girls, anyone and everyone. Most others within their friend group are also swingers. 2 other members from this group are doing the show with us as well. They have been insistent on trying to form a friendship with my girlfriend. Even satellite members of this group add her on socials after they all hang out, even though we have not had any friendship with them. He always sends her playlists, tells her how much he loves her, etc. She thought he was just gay at first, but he had hidden the fact that he had a wife or kids until one previous pool party. I do not have a problem with the poly lifestyle existing. I do not want it influencing my world. The men in the group are cuckolds. They raise each other's kids. Everyone always has eyes for someone who is not their own partner. They do drugs in front of their kids on top of that, and swing in the same space the kids hang out in. It is all fine that they exist swinging and stuff like that, but it is all upsetting to me, and I do not want a part in that. I saw a text he, the main dude, sent my girlfriend, not asking for the both of us, despite knowing me and us all hanging out before and having a good time, to come to a party by the pool this weekend. Important detail he has told me about how crazy his summer pool parties get before involving their swinging, etc. I did not bring up that I saw her phone, but I asked what we were doing this weekend, and she brought up that he invited us to a pool party. I said I did not want to make good friends with the group. For starters, as far as past events go, while on coke at one of these parties, my girlfriend kissed his wife, very briefly. She always attracts a lot of attention, so it is nothing new, but given their lifestyle, I do not want to open that door. After saying that it is not what I want out of this situation, she defends the fact that she is allowed to make friends and does not want to feel ostracized because she enjoys a few of them. She insists that it is not the only reason they invite people and that she does not know who is sleeping with whom, so it should not matter. She is right that she should make her own friends, but I really do not want to get any closer and have my boundaries washed away. What do I say that is not controlling, but still communicates that this is a hard boundary for me? To prove my point, should I ask her to show me the text since we got invited? I have never even asked to see a text before. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. The other poster is right. This group is grooming your girlfriend, and sadly, when doing coke and kissing the other wife, she has given them the green light to pursue her. It's plainly obvious that by not inviting you, they are trying to isolate her from you, work on her, and drive a wedge between you. They are pretending to be her friends, but in reality, they are planning on getting her pulled into their world, using alcohol, drugs, and peer pressure to have intimacy intercourse with her. They don't care about your girlfriend in any other way. Edit. If she is 100% set on going, go with her and piss them off. Comment 2. Let a few people comment, and then show her this post and the comments it generates. Unfortunately, it is not looking good for your relationship. Ultimately, she will need to choose between you or them. She is trying to coordinate a way that she can have both, but it isn't going to work. She cannot have her cake and eat it too. She seems pretty interested in them, so I'm not sure where that leaves you. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading the last post. So, 3 months have passed since I last updated you all, and things have taken quite a turn. After that pool party invitation, I decided to have a serious talk with my girlfriend about my boundaries. I told her that while I respected her right to make friends, I was uncomfortable with the swinger group and their lifestyle. She seemed to understand and agreed to keep some distance from them. For a while, things were good. We focused on our work and our upcoming business venture, and it felt like we were on the same page. But then, about a month ago, I noticed she was spending more time on her phone and being secretive about it. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. However, one night, she left her phone on the kitchen counter, and a message from the main dude popped up. It was another invitation to a party, but this time it was clear that it was just for her. I felt a knot in my stomach. I didn't want to invade her privacy, but I couldn't ignore the feeling that something was off. I confronted her about the message, and she admitted that she'd been talking to him more frequently. She insisted that it was innocent, and that she just enjoyed their conversations. I tried to believe her, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it. We argued, and she accused me of being controlling and not trusting her. It was a rough night, and we both went to bed angry. The next day, she apologized and promised to cut back on her interactions with the group. I wanted to believe her, so I let it go. But things didn't improve. She became more distant, and our arguments became more frequent. It felt like we were drifting apart, and I didn't know how to fix it. Then, 2 weeks ago, I found out that she had gone to one of their parties without telling me. I was devastated. When I confronted her, she admitted that she had been feeling suffocated by my boundaries and needed an escape. She swore that nothing happened and that she just needed some space. But I couldn't help but feel betrayed. In the midst of all this, our work on the show started to suffer. The tension between us was obvious, and it affected our performance. The cast and crew noticed, and it created a strained atmosphere on set. Our joint business venture also took a hit. We'd been planning to launch a new project together, but our personal issues made it difficult to focus and collaborate effectively. As if things couldn't get worse, last week I found out that the main dude had been spreading rumors about us. He told people that we were having relationship problems and that my girlfriend was unhappy with me. It felt like a punch to the gut. I confronted him and he denied it, but the damage was already done. Our reputation in the industry took a hit, and it felt like everything we had worked for was falling apart. In the midst of all this chaos, I started to reflect on our relationship and how we got here. I realized that my girlfriend had always been more social and outgoing than me. She thrived on making new connections and being the center of attention. I, on the other hand, preferred a more private and controlled environment. Our differences had always been there, but they became more pronounced as we got deeper into our work and social circles. I remembered a conversation we had early in our relationship. She had told me about her past, how she had always felt the need to please others and be liked. She had grown up in a household where her parents were constantly fighting, and she had learned to seek validation from others to cope. I had always admired her ability to connect with people, but I hadn't realized how much it was tied to her need for approval. Looking back, I could see how my boundaries and need for control had clashed with her desire for freedom and connection. It was a recipe for disaster, and we were both paying the price. As I write this, I'm not sure where we stand. Our relationship is hanging by a thread, and our work is suffering. I don't know if we can come back from this, but I'm trying to hold on to some hope. Maybe we can find a way to reconcile our differences and rebuild what we've lost. But for now, it feels like we're stuck in a never-ending cycle of conflict and mistrust. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day,